The law of priming. Welcome to today's episode of The Universal Principle, where we explore the fundamental laws that govern our world and shape our lives. Today we're delving into a topic that affects us all, the law of priming. Now you may be wondering, what is priming and why it's so important? Well, simply put, priming is the idea that our thoughts and emotions are shaped by the information and experiences that we are exposed to. And when we intentionally prime our minds to embrace more positivity, we'll notice a remarkable change in the quality of our thoughts and emotions. Think of it like this. Just as a gardener plants seeds and nourishes them with the right nutrients and sunlight, we can plant seeds of positivity in our minds and nurture them with intentional actions and habits. And just as a garden flourishes when it's tended to with care and attention, our minds can thrive when we intentionally cultivate a positive mindset. The law of priming is a fundamental principle that applies to us all, whether we're navigating personal challenges, pursuing professional success, or simply trying to live our best life. And the exciting thing is, it's not just an abstract theory. It's a proven strategy that's been backed up by countless scientific studies and personal experiences. So if you're ready to take control of your thoughts and emotions and embrace a more positive mindset, then you come to the right place. Today we'll be sharing our insights and strategies for priming your mind for positivity. And we'll be exploring the different types of priming and science behind it and the real-world results that can be produced. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn how the law of priming can transform your life. It's time to unleash your full potential and tap into the power of positivity. Have you ever noticed that when you start your day off with a positive thought or experience that everything seems to fall into place? Or maybe you found when you're in a negative frame of mind, it's hard to break out of that cycle and see things from a different perspective. These observations aren't just coincidence. They're rooted in a fundamental principle that is the law of priming. And this law states that our thoughts and emotions are shaped by the information and experiences that we're exposed to, and that we can intentionally prime our minds to experience more of what we want in life. As we shared earlier, think of it like planting a garden. If you want to grow flowers, you need to plant seeds and give them the right nutrients, water, and sunlight. Similarly, if you want to cultivate a positive mindset, you need to plant seeds of positivity and nourish them with intentional actions and habits. One of the most effective ways to prime your mind for positivity is to start each day with a positive affirmations or thought. This can be as simple as reminding yourself of something you're grateful for, setting an intention for the day, or visualizing a positive outcome for a project or situation you're working on. Another way to prime your mind for positivity is to surround yourself with positive influences. This could include spending time with supportive friends and family, reading uplifting books or articles, or listening to inspiring podcasts or music. Of course, it's not always easy to stay positive in the face of challenges and setbacks, but by intentionally priming your mind to focus on the positive, you'll be better equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. The law of priming is a powerful tool for shaping our thoughts and minds. By intentionally planting seeds of positivity and nourishing them with intentional acts and habits, we can cultivate a more positive mindset and attract more of what we want in life. What is the law of priming? Have you ever noticed that when you're in a good mood, your day seems to go better? Or when you're feeling down, everything seems to be going wrong? This is the power of priming. The law of priming states that exposure to one stimuli can influence the response to a subsequent stimuli without conscious guidance or intention. In other words, our thoughts and emotions are affected by what we expose ourselves to. When it comes to positivity, the law of priming suggests that if we condition our minds with positive thoughts and feelings, we will experience more positive outcomes in our lives. For example, if we focus on gratitude and appreciation for all the good things in our lives, then our outlook on life will naturally become more optimistic. Similarly, if we focus on negative thoughts and feelings such as fear and worry, then our outlook will become more pessimistic. The law of priming can also be applied to relationships, such as seeing them as an ally than an adversary. Then our interactions with them becomes more harmonious and productive. On the other hand, when we prime ourselves with positive thoughts about someone else, such as seeing them as an enemy, then our interactions with them will become more strained and unproductive. In short, the law of priming is a powerful tool that can help us create a positive mindset and cultivate healthy relationships. By conditioning our minds to embrace more positivity, we can create an environment where success is inevitable. The benefits of priming. Our thoughts and emotions are not static. They are constantly evolving and being shaped by the world around us. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, we are bombarded with a never-ending stream of information and experiences. This can include everything from the news we read to the people we interact with and to the thoughts and emotions we have in response to these experiences. All of these inputs act as a form of priming for our minds. That is, they influence how we perceive and respond to the world around us. For example, if we're exposed to a lot of negative news stories, it could be easy to become fearful and anxious or hopeless about the state of the world. On the other hand, if we surround ourselves with positive, uplifting messages and experiences, we're more likely to feel optimistic and motivated and inspired. What's more, our brains are wired to respond more strongly to negative experiences than positive ones. This is known as the negativity bias, and it means that we're more likely to remember negative experiences and dwell on them than positive ones. This is why it's so important to intentionally expose ourselves to positive experiences and influences. We need to counteract the natural bias of our brains and cultivate a more positive outlook. The good news is that we have more control over our environment and experiences than we may realize. We can choose to consume positive media, surround ourselves with positive people, and seek experiences that uplift us and inspire us. And by doing so, we can prime our minds to be more resilient, optimistic, and empowered in the face of life challenges. So the next time you find yourself feeling negative or stuck in a rut, remember that you have the power to shape your thoughts and emotions. By intentionally priming your mind with positive influences and experiences, you can cultivate a more positive outlook on life and attract more what you want in your personal and professional endeavors. The different types of priming. When we talk about priming, we're referring to the idea that our thoughts and emotions can be influenced by the information and experiences we're exposed to. But there are many different types of priming to be aware of, each of which have a unique effect on our minds and behaviors. According to Tony Robbins, here are some of the most common types of priming. Number 1, positive and negative priming. Positive priming occurs when exposure to positive stimuli like a happy memory or inspiring message makes us more likely to respond positively to subsequent stimuli. Negative priming, on the other hand, occurs when exposure to negative stimuli like a stressful situation or a sad news story makes us more likely to respond negatively. Number 2, associative priming. Associative priming occurs when exposure to one stimuli like the word dog makes us more likely to respond to another stimuli that is related to it, like the word cat. This type of priming is based on the idea that our brains form associations between different concepts and ideas. Number 3, conceptual priming. Conceptual priming occurs when exposure to a stimuli like a picture of a tree makes us more likely to recognize or respond to stimuli that are related to the same concept, like the word forest. This type of priming is based on the idea that our brains organize information by concepts and categories. Number 4, perceptual priming. Perceptual priming occurs when exposure to stimuli like a pattern or a shape makes us more likely to recognize or respond to similar stimuli in the future. This type of priming is based on the idea that our brains form templates or mental models for different types of sensory information. Number 5, semantic priming. Semantic priming occurs when exposure to a stimulus, like a word, makes us more likely to recognize or respond to stimulus that are related to the same concept, like the word apple, priming us to recognize the word fruit. This type of priming is based on the idea that our brain organizes information by meaning and association. Number 6, mask priming. Mask priming occurs when exposure to a stimulus is too brief or subtle to be consciously perceived, but still influences our thoughts and behaviors. This type of priming is often used in research studies to investigate the automatic processing of information in the brain. Number 7, repetition priming. Repetition priming occurs when exposure to a stimulus like a word or image makes us more likely to recognize or respond to us in the future. This type of priming is based on the idea that repeated exposure to a stimulus strengthens the connections in our neuron networks that are involved in processing that stimulus. By understanding the different types of priming, we can be more aware of how our thoughts and emotions are being shaped by our environment and experiences. This can help us intentionally seek out the positive influences and minimize exposure to negative ones, so that we can cultivate a more positive mindset and attract more of what we want in life. We have control. One of the key takeaways from the law of priming is that we have a great deal of control over our environment and experiences. We can choose to expose ourselves to positive influences and experiences and intentionally seek out media and activities that lift us up and inspire us. For example, if we find ourselves feeling stressed or anxious, we can choose to take a break from social media and news sites that are full of negative stories. Instead, we can seek out positive content that makes us feel good, like uplifting music, inspiring books, or podcasts that motivate us to take action. Likewise, if we're surrounded by negative people who brings us down, we could make conscious efforts to seek out positive, supportive relationships that help us grow and thrive. This might mean joining a community group, taking a class, or simply reaching out to friends and family members who share our values and aspirations. Ultimately, the law of priming reminds us that we have the power to shape our thoughts and emotions and intentionally cultivate a more positive mindset. By being mindful of the influence and experience we expose ourselves to, we can prime our minds to be more resilient and optimistic and empowered in the face of life challenges. So if you're feeling stuck in a negative mindset, remember you have the power to change it. By intentionally seeking out positive influences and experiences, you can create a more supportive, uplifting environment that can help you grow and thrive. And by doing so, you can prime your mind to focus on the positive and attract more of what you want in your personal and professional endeavors. Focusing on the good. While the law of priming may sound simple in theory, it can be difficult to put into practice. After all, we're constantly bombarded with negative messages and experiences in our daily lives, from news headlines to social media to personal stressors. But the key is to be intentional about the information and experiences we expose ourselves to, and to make a conscious effort to seek out positivity wherever we can. One way to do this is to pay attention to the words we use when talking to ourselves and others. Are we speaking positively and using language that reflects a growth mindset, or are we stuck in negative self-talk and limiting beliefs? By being mindful of the words we use, we could begin to rewire our brains to focus on the positive and cultivate a more resilient mindset. Another way to prime our minds for positivity is to practice mindfulness meditation. Research has shown that regular mindfulness practices can reduce stress and anxiety, improve moods and well-being, and increase feelings of empathy and compassion. By focusing our attention on the present moment and cultivating a non-judgmental attitude, we can train our brains to respond more positively to the ups and downs of life. Ultimately, the law of priming reminds us that we have more control over our thoughts and emotions than we may realize. By intentionally exposing ourselves to positive influences and experiences, we can train our brains to focus on the good and cultivate a more positive outlook on life. And while it may take time and efforts to rewire our thoughts patterns, the rewards, increased happiness, resilience, and success are well worth it. So why not give it a try? Your mind and your life may just thank you for it. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of another enlightening episode of the universal principle. Today, we explored the power of the law of priming and how it can transform the quality of our lives and emotions. As we've seen, priming is not just an abstract concept. It's a practical strategy that anyone can use to cultivate a more positive mindset and cultivate more of what we want in life. And the beauty of it is, it's not just a one-time fix. It's a habit that we can cultivate and refine over time, and that can produce lasting results. We learned about the different types of priming, from positive and negative priming to associative, conceptual, and perceptual priming, and how they can influence our thoughts and behaviors. We also learned the real-world results that it has produced in all of our lives. But most importantly, we learned that we have the power to shape our thoughts and emotions and intentionally cultivate a more positive mindset. By being mindful of the influence and the experiences we expose ourselves to, we can prime our minds to be more resilient, optimistic, and empowered in the face of life challenges. So as we wrap up today's show, I want to leave you with this final thought. You have the power to transform your life by priming your mind for positivity. Whether you're seeking personal growth, professional success, or simply a more fulfilling life, the law of priming can help you achieve your goals and live your best life. So please go out there and plant those seeds of positivity, nourish them with intention and care, and watch as your mind and your life are transformed. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Universal Principle. I'm Leroy Glover, and I thank you for your attention.